The boyfriend's family is happy to bring up the urban redevelopment project. And Mrs. Litabeth's attitude has made a 180 degrees turn. And she dislikes me to no end. She even gave support to the pregnant mistress and took her back to her home. Son, what's the point of keeping a poor exportunist? Why don't you slaughter it earlier and give it to Lin Lin to replenish her body? I laughed coldly, turned my head and called my dad. Dad, don't demolish that piece of land in Greenfield Village yet. You think I'm poor? I'd like to see how long you can be proud of yourselves. We have been in a relationship for 2 years. And my boyfriend and I have always had a stable relationship. And his family has always liked and respected me. This weekend, my boyfriend and I went back to his house for dinner. I thought it would be another warm and friendly meeting. But I never thought that what I experienced next would be enough to disgust me for half a lifetime. As soon as I opened the door, my smiling hello auntie came up empty. My son has lost weight again. My boyfriend's mom took the briefcase from him with a smile on her face, glanced at me without saying anything, and went into the house with her son on her arm. I felt a little strange, but also closed the door and followed. I prepared 2 boxes of bird's nest as a gift for my home visit. But who knew that my boyfriend's mom just glanced at me lightly. Put it there. Let's eat first. Mrs. Lee's attitude was uncharacteristically cold, making me a bit puzzled. I looked at my boyfriend, Liam, who just shook his head at me. On the dining table, 3 plates of food were placed on it alone. The 3 dishes were stir-fried Shanghai green, cold patted cucumber, and a plate of fried peanuts. This was a far cry from the big fish and meat I used to get every time I came to the door. Not that it has to be prepared with good wine and good food. But this is not slightly not good. But I did not say anything. Lo had obediently pickled rice. Boyfriend to me to clip vegetables. Was his mom a chopstick cut off? What do? Eat your food. Then she turned her head to look at me and said, Xiaoxi, I heard from Xiao Yan that your father is not a native of a city. I couldn't understand why she, who seldom asked me about my family, suddenly asked this question. But I nodded my head obediently. The next second, I saw her pick up a slice of cucumber and send it to her mouth, smacking a few mouthfuls and swallowing it down. The corner of her mouth turned downward, hooking out a sneering arc. So you don't have a City A account? Indeed I don't. Because my family's ancestral home is in City C. The household registration is also there. It's just that over the years, my father's business has expanded all over the country. And I've followed him to study and work abroad. It would be a pain in the ass to move my account every time I traveled. So you've been working for so many years. But you don't plan to buy a house in a city? I shook my head honestly. There are several houses in my family. Why would I buy a house? I didn't expect my boyfriend's mom to put down her chopsticks and sneer. I told you. Girls nowadays will do anything to stay in the big city. Xiaoyan, you are still too young. Mom, Xiaoxi is not like that. The boyfriend turned red, though his voice was still weak when he faced his mom. Shut up. I've eaten more salt than you've traveled. I can't tell if it's a good girl or not, she said, giving me a sidelong glance. I was so confused that I couldn't understand how Mrs. Lee, who had always been so caring to me, suddenly became hostile to me. Until she talked about their urban redevelopment project. I finally realized what was going on. The boyfriend's family is not well off, living in an urban village on the east side of City A. The house is damp, old, and dilapidated. The house is damp and old, broken and small. The only thing that makes a difference is the local household registration, which is of no use to me. Recently, this area is said to be under urban redevelopment project. It will be demolished to build high-grade commercial housing. My boyfriend's mom asked me coldly if I knew about it. I smiled. How could I not know? This is my family's investment project. The developer is my father. Xiao ah. You see, the situation is such a situation. It's not that auntie can't see you. With your condition, you really don't match my family's Xiaoyan. In the past, it was fine. Even though you were a single parent and didn't have a local household registration. But your job was fine. And you were devoted to Xiaoyan. So I turned a blind eye and reluctantly agreed. But look now. Our family will soon have an urban redevelopment project. I heard that not only will there be a large amount of money for urban redevelopment project, but also a house will be given to us. In the future, you and Xiaoyan will not be in the same class of people. And if you are barely together, you will not be happy. Besides, I can't possibly put my family's property at risk. That's why a daughter-in-law of social equality is most suitable for my family. Your conditions are, right? You mean, you want me to break up with Liam? When I asked these words, I already had an answer in my heart. Sure enough, the boyfriend's mom raised a false smile. Xiao Shi ah. And this is also for your own good. I sneered. What if I don't? What if I don't break up? It wasn't that I was so in love with Liam. I just couldn't stand it when people threatened me like that. Hey, you kid. Why can't you hear the good and the bad? She slapped the table. The boyfriend's dad was his usual silent self, smoking a dry cigarette. And Liam, himself, was too scared to fart. I was even more upset. I'm telling you. Don't try to grab my son and climb up the ladder. My family doesn't want a poor daughter-in-law like you. Fine. You don't want to share. Right? They'll let you die today. Lin, come out. My boyfriend's mom greeted me. And a girl came out of the bedroom. I stared at her. Isn't she a colleague of Liam's from his company? Before I could react, the little girl had already come over to me and knelt in front of me with a thud. Xiaoxi. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I know I'm not right to do this. But I have no way. Said. She wiped her tears and touched her slightly bulging belly. My heart was half cold. Turning my head to look at Liam. The latter rubbed himself out of his chair as if he had been scalded on the ass. Staring at Lillian with a horrified look on his face. You! Why are you here? And then, he suddenly reacted and grabbed my arm. Xiao Shi. Don't listen to her. Listen to me. It's not what you think. Before my boyfriend could finish his sentence, he was directly pulled to the side by her mom by the ears. She picked up Lillian on the ground while accusing Liam. Explain. Explain what? You're going to be a father now. Do you still do things so lightly? My brain was buzzing. All that was left was my boyfriend's mom yelling in my ear like a sticky fly. As you can see, Lin is pregnant with Xiao Yan's child. So she definitely has to be my family's daughter-in-law. I don't care how you and Xiao Yan used to get along. I don't care how you and Xiao Yan used to get along. Now you have to leave him and get as far away from him as possible. Don't be so blind to compare yourself with Lin. She's got a background. What are you? Son. What's the point of keeping a poor exportunist? Why don't you kill him earlier and give him to Lin to replenish her body? Every word poked me right in the heart. One irritation after another drove me crazy. I couldn't take it anymore. Grabbed my bag and ran out. There was no driving. No going home. I just walked aimlessly down the street. I couldn't accept the 180 degrees change in attitude of my future Mrs. Lee, who had always loved me as her own daughter. I couldn't believe that my boyfriend, who had doted on me so much, had already cheated on me and even had a child. I don't know how long it took for Liam to call and ask me how I was doing and where I was. He said he wanted to talk to me. And I agreed. Breakup is sure to score. The principle of the problem cannot be forgiven. Just before that, I had to get the truth about everything. Liam and I had an appointment at a coffee shop. As soon as we sat down, he was desperately trying to explain that he hadn't cheated on me and that everything was just an accident. He didn't even mention a word about how I was feeling or where I had just been. I suddenly regretted that I didn't hold back my tears just now. My eyes were really hurt by the wind. Shao Shi. You have to believe me. You're really the only one I love. Aha. Then you should go home now and ask Lillian to abort the baby. He, who had been yelling all the time when we met, had a rare moment of silence. My heart didn't ripple. Liam, why don't you go get me a cake from the place I always go to? I handed him my cell phone. Use mine. I just charged my membership. Watching him walk away with a smile on his face, I picked up the table. Liam's cell phone. After 2 years together, I do know the password to Liam's cell phone. It's just that I never checked his phone because I thought trust and respect were important things. But now, he had long ago broken my trust and didn't deserve my respect. I enter my password to open my phone and go straight to WeChat. This Lillian doesn't have much of a sense of boundaries, I know. And Liam has always told me to treat her like a little sister. I really didn't expect that the sister came and went to the bed. Seeing the unpleasant chat records of the two, my heart completely fell to the bottom. It is also the reason why I never check WeChat. Two people from the beginning to the end of the chat records are clearly laid out there. From the beginning, Lillian's active and enthusiastic sharing of daily Liam cold response. To the later, Liam will also secretly poke active care about her. You and me. And then later, the company cocktail party. The two of them logically drunken sex. Maybe it's because he's afraid of me. Or maybe it's because he's still got a little bit of conscience left. Since that night, Liam has been a lot colder to Lillian. He told her that the night was an accident and not to mention it again. Until a month later, Lillian sent a pregnancy test report. Liam breaks down. He tries to get Lillian to have an abortion. Tries to undo it all. But in the end, he also lost to the girl's pearly pleas. In their most recent WeChat conversation, Liam told her, "Wait for me with your baby. Don't worry. I won't leave you and your son behind." The other party replied with a pouting emoji. I was so angry that my hands were trembling. So much so that Liam's sentence, "Did you look at my cell phone?" I dropped my phone to the floor in shock. He crouched down to pick it up. Looked up. And my cup of hot coffee splashed directly on his face. A gasp of surprise surrounded me. I saw it. How was it? I don't know until I see it. But it's a shock. Bitchy man has two faces. I've been with you for the past 2 years. They'll take it as my Sophia's experience. Let's not talk too much. Let's break up. I grabbed my cell phone and the cake and headed for the door. After taking a few steps, I suddenly remembered something and turned to him with a dirty face. Remember, I dumped you. Cheater. Leaving this sentence, I in a crowd of either admiring, or probing, or eat melon eyes long left. It was only on this day that I realized it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. In the days that followed, I ate, showered, and washed myself. Unaffected by all this shit. Liam did ask me to stay again. But I refused impatiently over and over again. Later on, he seemed to recognize the whole thing and stopped contacting me. See, that's what happens to a man's heart. The next day, I went to work at the hospital as usual. While I was busy, Liam's mom came to the department. Who is in charge of this department? Tell him to call Sophia out. The old woman wandered around the internal medicine department, provoking a crowd of unhappy patients. Who jumped your queue? I'm not sick. I'm not here to see a doctor. I'm looking for someone. Where's Sophia? Sophia. Come out. I was organizing patient information in my office. When I received the news from my colleague, I immediately rushed out. What I saw was Liam's mom rushing around, even opening the ward where the consultation was going on, shouting, "Sophia, come out." Seeing the commotion that was about to ensue, I immediately contacted the security guard and jogged over to her. "What are you doing? What's going on?" After that day, I saw the real ugly face of this old woman. And now I don't have a good face for her. "This is a hospital. What's all the noise about?" She stopped walking and turned her head to look at me. "Yo, you're out? I thought you stole something and hid it from people." Her words caused a commotion around her. I also frowned unnoticeably. What did I steal? Funny. 2 years with Liam. He hasn't spent a tenth of what I've given him. And his house is full of crap. So what do I have to steal? Stole what? My family heirloom. You little bitch. You spent my son's money when you were with him. But now that you've broken up with him, you've learned to steal. Don't admit it? If you don't admit it, I'll call your leader. Where's the leader? Where's the leader? Can someone take care of her? She dares to steal my family heirloom now. Who knows if she'll try to kill me later? How can she be a doctor? I don't think so. Don't talk nonsense. You old lady. Yes. The hospital is no place for you to make trouble. My co-workers know me from time to time. And when they heard Liam's mom say that, a few of them couldn't help but speak up for me. I shook my head at them, then turned around and went back to the office. From my bag, I took out the family heirloom that Liam's mom was talking about. You don't mean this, do you? I shook the object in my hand. You thief. You've got a conscience. Liam's mom's eyes were glowing, and she pounced on me, ready to snatch the bracelet from my hand. It's funny. This bracelet, or when I first came to the door, she personally gave me. Did not hear her say what family heirloom. It is also blame me. Break up and split in a hurry. Forgot to throw these rags back to their home. I raised my hand and she missed. Old lady. You can have it. But there is a sentence I must make it clear. This bracelet is your own, give me. This is called a voluntary gift. And steal the difference can be very big. I don't care if you gave it to me or not. If you break up, you have to give it back. If you don't exchange it, it's stealing. Liam's mom's dry and thin cheeks moved. The corner of her mouth turned down. Okay. Don't give me that crap. Just give it to me and I'll forgive you. She looked askance at me. From the nasal cavity issued a cold grunt. But this behavior I also understand. After all, in this family heirloom bracelet from the ancestors more than a dozen generations down. Real gold and jade. Worth it. A few words. Let the surrounding eaters heard a big difference. Look at Liam fucking gaze more, a few points of contempt. Here you go. Fools are good at arguing. I don't bother talking to her. I reached out and handed her the bracelet. Who would have thought that the old woman's hand slipped and she didn't catch it? And the bracelet bam hit the ground. My heart also thumped. Not for fear of not being able to afford to pay. Just Liam, his mom launched the crazy look, is really tired of my heart. I didn't realize that the crisp sound I expected didn't appear. And the broken pieces on the ground didn't even appear. Just see the bracelet muffled sound, round and round on the ground, rolled a few circles. Lying on the ground. Snort. I said, how this bracelet is so light. I knew it was a fake. But I didn't know it was so completely fake. The bracelet was picked up by a colleague and handed back to Liam's mom, who coughed out. How to say? Auntie, your bracelet is quite resistant to falls. Liam's mom's face was not good. Yes. Auntie. This is not to say family heirloom. I thought it was $9 plastic bracelet. I think it's a plastic bracelet. No. I really didn't mean to say your family bracelet is plastic. Auntie, why don't you give me a link? I'd like to buy one too. Liam's mom's face was so hard to see that she didn't look so high and mighty just now. What do you know? What's the matter with you guys? Go and see what's wrong with you. She put the bracelet into her bag, lowered her head, and quickly left the hospital. Although Liam's mom didn't cause any substantial impact, I was still severely criticized by the head of the department for disturbing the order of the hospital. Back home, the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Break up is break up. I did not want to take care of this strange family again. After all, it's a shame. But Liam's fucking behavior really pissed me off too. So I decided to give them a little punishment. I didn't have to do anything. I just went to Liam's company to preach about the honorable deeds of this pair of scummy men and women, and asked the leader to fire him in the meantime. What? That I don't have the right? Then when I take out that Shin group will no longer cooperate with them as a consequence. How should your excellency respond? As expected, Liam was fired the next day for stepping into the company with his left foot. Hey, I wanted to give them a chance to live. But some people just have to die. Liam was fired in the morning and Liam's fucking phone call came into my cell in the afternoon. Little bitch. You've got a lot of nerve. Who told you to go to my son's company and smear him? What? I thought I'd heard wrong. You can't stand to see the good in people's families. Can you? What did my son do to you? Ha! You two had a peaceful breakup. Didn't you? Did you have to make such a scene? I sneered. Peaceful. Really peaceful. Isn't it peaceful enough that he's harmonizing with other people's lives and making babies? Is there something wrong? Nothing. I'm hanging up. The other party gave a burst of output, not expecting to hit a ball of cotton. And after a few seconds of silence, he spoke again sorrowfully. Heh. You think you can get anything good by doing this? I tell you. Waiting for our family urban redevelopment project. Our family Xiao Yan is not working for the rest of his life, will not worry about not having money to spend. Alas. A poor girl like you can't experience that. You can only play such small tricks. Before I had a chance to speak, the opposite side of this godly snapped and hung up the phone. What's wrong with you? But, Liam's mom reminded me. How did I forget the most important thing? I turned my head and dialed my dad's phone. Hey. Dad, Greenfield Village, that piece of land. Don't tear it down yet. I'm not sure how much I'm going to pay for it. Well. Then I'll reward you for shopping with this lady. I have to say. When it's time to spell Dad. It's still pretty cool. After being crushed by the week's work, I finally waited for the weekend and decided to indulge myself happily. Only, when I bumped into Liam and Lillian at a luxury brand store, it was like eating a fly. Damn. What did I do in my past life? Why is my soul still alive? Lillian's face was in a state of disbelief, while Liam's face carried a few moments of surprise and embarrassment. Xiao Shi. What a coincidence. Sister Xiao Shi. I picked my bag without responding. In the next second, she put her hands tightly on Liam's arm. Baby. I'm so tired. Help me over to sit down. They brushed past me and settled on the sofa in the store. Not a moment later, the counter girl was greeted with refreshments and some fruits. Oops. Honey, you don't understand. This is how it is in a luxury store. This is the basic hospitality requirement. People who shop often know that. Only those girls who have never bought luxury goods before are picking out bags like idiots. Do you think luxury goods are like cabbages at the grocery store? M.O. I felt insulted when I was picking out a bag like a fool. Well, I'm not going to argue. Because Lillian probably doesn't understand the annoyance of having a bunch of managers following me around when I flash my platinum membership card. Just pick a 70. 000 to 80. $000 bag for work. Of course. The less hassle the better. Lillian's teeth itched with hatred because she could see that I was calm and relaxed. Not being yin and yang. Honey. I just want that bag. She opened her big watery eyes and pointed at the bucket bag in my hand. Liam blushed. Lynn. It's not creek first. What do you mean? Am I your girlfriend or is she your girlfriend? Liam. You're heartless. I'm still carrying your child in my belly. Don't talk nonsense. Liam turned red and glanced around to see if anyone was looking at him. That look is so familiar and disgusting. Not wanting to be humiliated. I graciously let her have my bag. But who knows, Lillian is not relentless. I choose which. She also want which. Another carry goods cannot. Want me to hand that? I have to admit. This girl is also a good hand at pretending. Once upon a time I thought she was soft and sensitive. But now she has such an overbearing side. I really want to poke my own eyes out. This time. Even the counter sister couldn't stand it anymore and helped me speak. Lillian. However. Put her teacup down. Heh. Your monthly commission shouldn't be too high. Right? Look at her. She looks like she can afford a bag. And you're still talking for her. Being a human being. You should have a good eye. I'm wearing a white t-shirt and pants for convenience today. And I'm wearing black-rimmed glasses because I'm not wearing makeup. Compared to Lillian's flamboyant noblewoman look. It was indeed a bit shabby. I smiled slightly and pointed at the last bag that Lillian and I were fighting over. And said to the counter girl. That makes sense. Let's give it to Ms. Wang then. You wrap it up for her. Lillian didn't expect me to say that. And was a bit unresponsive for a while. In the next second. A light flashed in her eyes and she said happily. Great. This is a limited edition. Baby. Get it for me. Lillian shook Liam vigorously. But the latter showed a difficult face and his mouth quirked. This bag is not very practical. Right? Lillian's eyes widened. Who buys a bag for practicality? Besides, isn't this just an ordinary limited edition? We're about to have a huge urban redevelopment project. Can't we afford to spend that kind of money? I laughed. It seemed that Liam and his family hadn't told Lillian that the urban redevelopment project was on hold. Sure enough. Liam's face turned red. But finally he could only say, yes. 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 You're right. But we have to live our lives. What do you mean? I think you just don't want to give me money. Right? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about? Still thinking about Sophia? Go on. Go. Go and live with her and leave us alone. Lillian said and pushed Liam towards me, causing me to take a big step backward. In the midst of this chaos, my dad, who had been answering the phone for almost an hour, finally wandered back into the store. He looked at Liam, who was standing next to me, and pulled me behind him. And I obediently took his arm. The atmosphere was somewhat eerily silent. Lillian spoke up first, pointing at me and my dad. You. Her wide eyes stared straight at the two of us holding each other's arms. Liam's face didn't look too good either. Liam. Look at you. You're still feeling guilty and blaming yourself. Sophia's got the big bucks. Liam's eyebrows were all wrinkled like a Chuan character, but did not refute Lillian's words. Oh. I get it. This is to take my father as my big money. Hey. It's true that people with dirty hearts see everything as dirty. My dad was about to say something, but I gave him a look that shut him up. Lynn. We can't be so harsh. After all, you're the one who got out of an illicit relationship. It's okay to scold me, but don't scold yourself as well. Lillian's face reddened with anger. Liam reached out and pulled me to the side. Xiao Shi. What's wrong with you? How did you become like this? Or is it really the same as what Lin Lin said? You have long cuckolded me? Listening to the tone, he was still a bit angry. It's really funny. The cheating man came over to accuse me instead. I shrugged off his hand. What's it to you? Besides, even if that's the case, I'm just returning the favor. I snuggled back up next to my dad, who was honored to be a human stand-up. The law says you can't kill people, but it doesn't say you can't sicken them to death. Watching the scummy man and woman look like they've had their fill of it makes me ache. Sophia, I really didn't expect you to be this kind of person. I've been so good to you for the past 2 years. Even if I made a mistake in the end, I didn't treat you badly before that. Did I? Not bad. Not bad in the sense that he ate $50 of grilled fish buffet with me and had to pay AA. Or not bad in the sense that he ordered milk tea for me and then messaged me about my cup of 13? I looked at him quizzically. Liam acted pained as he sneered. I said, why did you always spend so much in the past, and told me it was your own money. Where did you get the money from? You earned it with your legs open. Didn't you? I didn't expect Liam, who always pretends to be gentle, to be able to say such bad words. Without waiting for my dad to make a move, I had already thrown a slap on Liam's face. Before he could react, I added another slap to the other side. Shit. My hands were numb. Kid, watch your mouth or you'll regret it. He tried to fight back, but my dad, who is a big guy, blocked him. I forgot to mention that my dad, a little old man who has been working out for years and practicing boxing for a few years, could have picked Liam up with one hand. Sure enough, Liam gave in. He stared at me with a furious look on his face. In the end, this drama ended with my dad buying me 10 limited edition bags. The store manager was nodding his head and smiling. And Lillian was so jealous she was gnashing her teeth. My dad and I finished our shopping and left. As for Liam's dozen credit cards, whether or not they can swipe out 200,000 yuan to get the bag I gave to Lillian is none of my business. Liam sighed of the quiet for a while. Just when I almost forget this person, but received a text message from Liam. I've long since blacked out my WeChat and phone number, and this person has shamelessly changed his nickname. Xiaoxi. I apologize to you for what happened last time. I know you're not that kind of person. I was abetted by Lin Lin and got carried away. I ignored him. After a long time, he continued to send. The one who was with you that day is the boss who is in charge of this urban redevelopment project. Right? I saw him come to our area last time. Xiaoxi. Putting aside everything else, for the sake of our friendship over the past few years, can you help me? You don't have to do anything else. Just blow the whistle and tell him not to suspend the urban redevelopment project. It's not just for me. It doesn't matter if it's for my family. It's for the whole village. You're doing a good job, aren't you? I sneered. I smiled coldly, as if I could already see the man's fawning and sinister expression through the cell phone screen. Disgusting. Okay. I hooked my lips and smiled. Then other people's homes are demolished. Not demolished your home well. Anyway, your home doesn't matter, isn't it? I didn't even look at the big thank you that Liam sent over. Cell phone a throw. Sleep. I'm not going to say. I may have really done something evil in my past life. This life always have rotten people follow me to the soul. When I was working at the hospital, I was a doctor in the internal medicine department, and I went to the obstetrics and gynecology department to get a piece of information. And I actually bumped into Liam's mother bringing Lillian for a medical checkup. When I passed by, the old woman gave me a blank look. Let me pass. Let me pass. Don't bump into my grandson. Do you have no eyes when you walk? There were already a lot of people coming to the pregnancy test on the weekend. And they came late. So the line took a long time. The old woman was not happy. Why is it so slow? Your hospital is so inefficient. What? You have to make an appointment in advance? I don't care whether you make an appointment or not. Can you hurry up? You can't afford to delay the examination of my grandson. She yelled. And the pregnant mothers around her all moved farther away. Some even covering their mouths and noses in disgust. Lillian, perhaps feeling a bit embarrassed too, frowned and tugged on the old woman's sleeve. But the latter did not budge. I took the information and was ready to go back to the department, but was caught by Liam's mom's sharp eyes. Sophia, it just so happens that you're here. Why don't you hurry up and take care of this for me and cut in line? Me. Are you okay? Why are you looking at me? At least you're my son's ex-girlfriend. You won't even do me this favor? I rolled my eyes. Heh. It's really different when you've got a big boss. You really think you're a phoenix. Her eyes darted around. Quite proud. Help or not. If you don't help, believe it or not, they'll shout you out for being a mistress. You're sick, aren't you? I looked at her inexplicably, took the information and walked away gracefully. She knows I'm a rich man. I wonder if she knows that Liam is begging me again. If she knew her son was like this, she would be furious. Right? On the way back to the department, a colleague from the obstetrics and gynecology department scowled at me. Your ex-boyfriend's mom is very powerful. Luckily we broke up. It would have been bad luck to marry her. I looked back at Lillian, nodded, thought deeply. There is also to tell you a more explosive. The colleague attached to my ear. Her daughter-in-law. Last time. Was accompanied by another man to the maternity checkup. Not your ex-boyfriend. Oh. Things are starting to get interesting. Time went by and my life went back to the way it was without Liam. I realized that it really didn't make much of a difference with or without him. I was only resentful because the cost of time was too high. After all, 2 years is a lot of time to get attached to a dog. During this period of time, Liam still sends me messages from time to ask when the Urban Redevelopment Project program will arrive at his home. I responded with the ever-present phrase, "Wait for it." I just didn't realize that his stench was much more than what I thought it was. 2 years together. We have also accumulated some mutual friends. I originally thought things were fine until one of my mutual friends sent me the chat records of Liam and his brother. Liam called me a bitch, a whore, and shameless. He called me a cuckold and cursed me to get played soon. What a natural actor. Obviously a second ago was pleading me. Since the scum family took the initiative to send up to want to die, then I do not fulfill them again. Is not it too polite? I dialed my dad's number. I've changed my mind. I'm going to the ribbon-cutting ceremony at Greenfield Village tomorrow. The urban redevelopment project in Greenfield Village is a big project. The project was contracted in batches and demolished and built in batches. After the initial completion of the first batch, the group will hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony. As the chairman of the board, my dad will naturally attend. And I was among the invitees this time. Obviously. This was deliberately arranged by his old man. I didn't want to accept it. I just wanted to stay away from Liam's family. But there are some people who just won't let me have a moment to myself. At the ceremony, Liam's whole family was there. Sitting not far from me. Lillian was already quite pregnant. And the whole family surrounded her, serving her tea and water. She alone took up the seats of 3 people. A resident was upset and spat that if he couldn't stand it, he should stay at home and come out in the heat to give people a hard time. Then the man was nearly drowned by Liam's mom's spittle. Lillian saw me and frowned. "What are you doing here?" I smiled playfully. "If you can come, why can't I?" She glanced at my father who was speaking on the stage. then scanned me up and down, and snorted. Heh! Are all the young lovers nowadays so bold? Dressing so formally. You really think you're on stage? Shame on you. Liam's mom, who was fanning Lillian, also gave me a blank look and chimed in. That's right. It's a good thing that he and my family Xiao Yan have split up. Otherwise, my family would have lost a lot of adults. We, the Li family, don't want this kind of daughter-in-law who doesn't respect herself. I lowered my head and almost didn't laugh out loud, hoping that tears wouldn't fall from her eyes if she knew the truth. When I raised my head, I inadvertently locked eyes with Liam. I stared straight at him, and the other pulled a smile worse than tears at me before sheepishly averting his eyes. Next, please welcome the chairman's daughter, Ms. Sophia, to the stage to jointly cut the ribbon. I've invested a measly $5 million in my dad's project. And that's all it took to get on stage to cut the ribbon? I must say, it's very cool. Please welcome Ms. Sophia. The host repeated. There was a commotion on the stage. You looked at me. I looked at you. The Liams turned their attention to me. Then all shook their heads negatively. His mom looked disdainful. Just her? That can be pulled off. Before she could finish her sentence, I stood up to the probing eyes of the crowd and walked calmly to the stage. The ribbon cutting was boring, but it was fun to watch the wonderful expressions on the faces of Liam's family. The family's expressions were frozen like they were seeing something impossible. Lillian was in disbelief. After the ceremony, I had just stepped off the stage when I was tugged aside by Liam's mom. The old lady's shrewd gaze fixed on me with a hint of uncertainty. Your godfather. Ha! Me. What do you think? She tugged at the corner of her mouth, revealing a curt smile. Just kidding. Just kidding. Ahem. You kid. Why didn't you tell us you were the daughter of Mr. Shen's family? She came to grab my hand. Xiao Shi ah. You can be really naughty. You're so naughty. Saying that you don't have a household registration and that you don't have any money. Making Auntie misunderstand you for a long time. I shrugged it off without moving, and smiled with narrowed eyes. How could I? Auntie, what you said is the truth. I am indeed a poor opportunist without a local account. Liam's fucking smile froze on her face. In the next second, she continued to speak in a low voice. I'm just joking with you. Auntie. Who doesn't know about Shen's group? Auntie just heard about it. It's the whole country. The whole country, what's it? Ahem. Anyway. The old powerful on the right. She had a fawning smile on her face. Xiao Si ah. You do not know. In fact, after you broke up Xiao Yan has been quite regret. Auntie also feels very sorry for you. I followed her eyes and glanced over, only to see Liam not far away, standing with his father. Looking at me with affectionate eyes, Lillian was nowhere to be found. With a wave of disgust, I retracted my gaze. Auntie, what exactly are you trying to say? Liam's mom hemmed and hawed, the skin on her face crinkling together. Auntie can see that you are genuinely good to my family Xiao Yan. And I also know that you definitely have feelings for Xiao Yan as well. It's just that this Lin Lin is still pregnant with a child. So there's really no way to do it. So I can only entrust you first. But don't worry. When she gives birth to this child, I'll immediately let her get lost. You'll still be my daughter-in-law. My eyebrows are almost wrinkled into a line. I really do not know whether I heard wrong or she said wrong. By then, you'll be the baby's mom. That's good. That's social equality. In the future, our families will support each other. And you two will definitely have a better life together. She was talking so colorfully, as if I had already promised her. It was only when Lillian came over with a belly that she hemmed and hawed and shut up. Mom. What are you doing here? You're still talking after people have played us all over. Lillian looked at me with venom in her eyes and dragged Liam's mom, who had a drooping face, away. I hooked my lips and smiled. And without even thinking, I spoke directly. I'm sorry, Auntie, but I can't promise that you and Liam will continue to be together. You see, Lin carrying a baby for 10 months is also really hard. Go mother to leave her son. This is not good. Right? I blinked rather apologetically and then turned to leave. I let Lillian's unbelievable and hysterical scolding and Liam's mom's pale and feeble explanation come from behind me. Perhaps Lillian forced her to die. Or perhaps she realized that I really didn't mean it. Liam's mom could only put away that thought. Instead, she invited me to attend Liam and Lillian's wedding on the grounds that it was destiny. Of course I agreed. And not only that, I even gave them a great gift at the wedding. I wasn't there. But am told that when the video I presented was shown on the big screen at the wedding, with Lillian's body intertwined with that of another man, it blew up in their faces. After the passion. The video showed how the two of them were scheming and designing a way to get the Liam's family's urban redevelopment project money. And it was made clear to everyone. Liam's family became a big joke. The wedding scene was in chaos. All the guests left. Scattered. There are still some people who do not mind watching. Later, I heard that the bride ran away, along with the disappearance of the Lee family's few possessions. It turned out that after the mess on the day of the ribbon cutting, Lillian used the child as blackmail to take control of the financial power of the Lee family. Although Liam's mom was reluctant, she was held by her eldest grandson in the end. I don't know if she will look good or not when she learns that she is raising a grandchild for someone else. Unable to bear the rumors around them, Liam's family didn't care about the urban redevelopment project and moved out overnight. Meanwhile, I was already on a flight to Sea City. I was on a flight to Sea City to start my 2-year expatriate study life. 3 months later, the name Liam came to my ears again. Only this time, he appeared on the social news pages of all the major information programs. It turned out that Liam was full of resentment and anger, and finally found Lillian. At that time, she was shopping with her adulterer. When faced with Liam's accusations, the two of them were unimpressed and even scolded him for being stupid and deserving of losing money to raise a son for someone else. Unable to cope with the shock, Liam chose to end it all in the most brutal way possible. 1 knife. 2 lives. A farce of an after-dinner chat ends in bloodshed. Liam was soon sentenced to prison and lived a life of public food. Liam's parents couldn't believe it for a long time. Their son was the best talent under the sky. How could he kill someone? When they finally reacted, they realized that they had already become street rats and everyone was shouting at them, because they had a son who was a murderer. Later on, the old couple really had no way to make a living, and licked their faces to ask about the urban redevelopment project a few times. After all, their old house was the only one left in that area that had not been demolished. Unexpectedly, the result was Urban Redevelopment Project List. There is no their family. They went to the company to make trouble. In the end, after being invited to the police station for tea a few times, they finally gave up and never dared to make trouble again. I heard that Liam's mom gradually went crazy. Every day, she holds wild cats and dogs in her arms and says they are her grandchildren. Now, the old couple lives in a dark and damp basement, picking up garbage for a living. Some say they hope their son will come back someday. With his ability, he will be able to make a comeback and find a rich wife to have a healthy baby boy. It's a bit ridiculous. I stopped reading the gossip from my friends. I turned off my cell phone and started a new day of busy life. End of full article. Next story. My son cried for milk at the baby shower. And in public. Mrs. Lee pulled my clothes and put the baby on my chest. What kind of baby is hungry? You're a woman. What are you ashamed of? I was furious. I was furious. And backhanded her blouse. We're all women. So take it off and show me now. The baby was only 20 days old. And Mrs. Lee hurriedly organized a baby shower in order to collect the cash gifts as soon as possible. Just after putting the baby to bed, Mrs. Lee came into the house with a large group of relatives and took the baby away without saying a word. Look at my good grandson. He's grown up so well. His eyes and mouth are exactly the same as my son's when he was a child. My sister-in-law retorted. I see that his eyes look exactly like my son's when he was little. I think his eyes look like his mother's. They are big and round. Mrs. Lee immediately sank to her knees. Of course my son's seed can only look like my son himself. What are you talking about? You are the one who gives the least cash gifts. Are you here to make trouble? Ever since the baby was born, Mrs. Lee has been whispering in my ear every day about how much the baby looks like my husband. His eyes, nose, mouth, but nothing like mine. I don't want to get angry with her as I'm sitting in postpartum recovery. Because anger will hurt me and I will suffer in the end. I'm not going to be able to get a good look at the child. So I'm not going to be able to change it if she says so. The child was asleep. But Mrs. Lee's loud voice immediately woke him up. The baby cried out. And Mrs. Lee came over and pulled my clothes in front of everyone without saying a word. The baby is hungry. Hurry up and feed my grandson, she said. I hurriedly covered my shirt and opened her hand. The baby has just been fed. And he's crying because you woke him up. Try pulling on me again. I didn't let her pull on my clothes. But she directly put the baby's face on my chest and reached for my collar. What kind of starving child is it? The house is full of women. What are you ashamed of? I yanked down on her shirt with my backhand, exposing a large portion of her skin at the base of her neck. Mrs. Lee shrank back to cover her chest. What are you doing? I laughed. I laughed. We're both women. So take it off now and show me. Mrs. Lee was anxious, but didn't know how to retort. See, you never know pain until you get slapped in the face. Mrs. Lee was so humiliated in front of her relatives that she put her clothes back on and gave me a blank look. And then she pulled out her voice and said in a conspiratorial voice, If you don't care about your son, I care about my grandson. If you don't want to feed him, they'll give him to Sister Wang tomorrow. Her daughter-in-law has a lot of milk and is good at it. Unlike you. Then the relatives complained with snot and tears. My daughter-in-law has such a temper that I can't even talk about it. And today you saw how she bullied me. An old man. And she didn't take any advantage of her virtue. So who's a daughter-in-law like her? I've worked hard to serve her postpartum recovery. And this is how she repays me. What kind of sin have I created? Mrs. Lee did not say anything. But when she did, I became even more angry. My mom could not take care of me after the operation. So she said she would pay for a professional nanny to take care of me during my postpartum recovery. When Mrs. Lee heard that it would cost more than $10,000, she immediately rejected the idea. I know how to cook. So it would be better to give the money to an outsider than to me. I guarantee that the food will be nutritious and healthy. Mrs. Lee kept on talking about it in front of me for 3 days. And she also whispered about it to her husband every now and then. In the end, I had to agree. However, after I gave birth to my baby and paid for the food, Mrs. Lee's postpartum recovery meals only consisted of green vegetables and chicken broth in fresh water. I asked her to change the dishes and she even complained that I was too nosy. Carp is good for breastfeeding. Eat more so my grandson will grow faster. Like me. When I was in postpartum recovery. It was a luxury to eat an egg a month. My relatives didn't know anything at all. And they only listened to Mrs. Lee's one-sided remarks. And then they had a problem with me. Auntie Tu came over and accused me. Xiao Yuan. How can you treat your Mrs. Lee like that? Get out of bed and apologize to her. Third auntie was also upset with me. There aren't many women like Mrs. Lee who treat their daughters-in-law as their own daughters. How can you be so kind to her? Bow down and apologize. And the family will still be in peace. Several other relatives in the house complained about my faults. And my son cried again. I got out of bed and swept the broom placed on the wall towards them. I got out of bed and took the broom from the wall and swept it over them. Get lost. You're so good at moral abduction. You should take off your clothes and show them to others if you're capable of doing it yourself. So nosy. The doorway of the manure truck passing by, why do not you go to taste the salty? Living in Dunhuang are not as much as your murals. I'll beat you up if you come in again. Don't mess with me. Close the door. Unlock it. Go to bed. All in one go. I don't care how they tap on the door or how noisy they are outside. The air in the house became much fresher after I chased these relatives out of the house. From the moment I saw Mrs. Lee's true colors, I decided not to spoil her. If she dares to mess with me in the future, I will take her at her word, and don't blame me for not giving her face. After all the relatives had left, and I was ready to lie down and rest after feeding the baby, my husband came into the house in a huff. I don't need to tell you why he was angry. I didn't wait for him to say anything. So I spoke up first. If you go against me, I will move back to my mom's house tomorrow. The last time we had a fight, I went back to my mom's house. But he tried to persuade me for half a year and I didn't come back. Since then, every time he came to my house, he was scolded by my parents. My husband resentfully retracted his words of reproach and advised me with kind words. Xiao Yuan. How can you talk about our mom like that today? She is at least your elder. What did you let her do? You embarrassed her in front of so many people. How hurtful to her self-esteem. I got angry. She's the eldest. But I'm still the youngest. Why won't she let me go? I'm just treating her the way she treats me. I'm not embarrassed when she pulls my clothes off in front of so many people. Hubby deflated in disapproval. She's still our mom. After all. Besides, our father died early. And it wasn't easy for her to raise me all by herself. So you should be more understanding of her. Anyway, our mom will be back after the baby's 100th day. So if she's wrong these days, just put up with it and wait until she's gone. Okay? I looked incredulously at the man in front of me, and couldn't believe the words that came out of my husband's mouth. At first I married him on the one hand because he is kind-hearted. But I did not expect him to be so soft-hearted. Or a mom's baby boy. My husband touched my son's face and then went under the covers. And I immediately kicked him and stomped him off the bed. Get out. Hubby rubbed his butt and cried out in pain. I smashed the pillow again. Did I make it hard for your mom? Was your mom's difficulties caused by me? Was your mom's difficulties caused by me marrying her? When your mom gave birth to you and raised you, why didn't you say she wasn't easy? Now you're telling me that your mom wasn't easy and I have nothing to do with it. I can only sympathize with her if she puts herself in my shoes. And don't expect me to be nice to her if she's not nice to me. I'm not a temperless bully. I'll definitely go up and bite back if she bullies me. Mrs. Lee heard the commotion in the house and ran over. Once she saw her precious son being kicked to the ground. She pointed at my face and started to scold me. A husband is a wife. My son is the only seedling of our Lin family. How can you hit my son? How could you hit my son? The child was again awakened by this loud voice. And Mrs. Lee hurriedly silenced herself and went to look at the child. The baby is hungry again. Why are you waiting? Go and feed him. You want to starve my grandson to death, don't you? Whenever the baby cried, Mrs. Lee said it was hungry. But I had fed it 20 minutes before. It is the nature of children to cry. And she always pointed out some foolish ways to me. I couldn't stand it any longer. So I took my son and went to sleep in the second bedroom, not being able to hear Mrs. Lee's loud voice. The child did fall asleep quickly. When I got up in the middle of the night, the light in the master bedroom was still on. The mother and son were muttering in there, not knowing what they were talking about. When I got close enough to listen, it turned out that Mrs. Lee was brainwashing her husband. Why are you a man so afraid of your wife? That's your daughter-in-law. If you don't listen to her, she'll listen to you after a few more beatings. Why are you such a wimp? Also, Xiao Yuan's postpartum recovery will be over in 10 days. And your specific baby is a good sign. So you have to seize the opportunity to have a second child in the year of the dragon. Standing outside the door, I clenched my fists. You want to encourage her son to beat me? Let's see if he has the guts. A second child? Bah! I'm not an old sow. You want me to get pregnant before my body recovers? No way. I thought of the marriage agreement that my husband and I signed before we got married, and hooked up my lips and smiled contemptuously. Oh, it's not certain who will listen to who when the time comes. Mrs. Lee and I had a cold war for a few days. We looked at each other in the eye for a few days. And the postpartum recovery meal she made was even more perfunctory. I have no choice but to cook for myself. Today, Mrs. Lee did not know what to do. Actually, rare simmered pigeon soup, fried meatballs and other meat and vegetable dishes. At the dinner table, my husband ate a meatball and praised the flavor. Mom, you fried these meatballs well today. They don't taste like pork. What kind of meat is this? Mrs. Lee smiled and gave him another meatball. Mrs. Lee smiled and gave him another ball. Eat as much as you like. This meat is very good, my husband said in a casual manner. Mom, you should fry these meatballs more often. They are delicious. Mrs. Lee's eyes narrowed into slits. Mrs. Lee's eyes narrowed as she said, this meat is very expensive. You don't get to eat it every day. As for what kind of meat it was, she wouldn't tell me no matter how much my husband asked her. I felt something was wrong. And when my husband asked me to eat the meatballs, I refused. Mrs. Lee gave me a bowl of pigeon soup and insisted that I drink it. She had not been so attentive during the entire postpartum recovery period. And now she was so eager to let me drink the soup. So there must be a trick. I stared at the blackened pieces of meat in the bowl and suddenly remembered the medical tissue that Mrs. Lee had asked me to throw. Mrs. Lee, did you not throw my medical tissue? When I finished speaking, Mrs. Lee's hands gave a beat and she denied it sheepishly. I threw it away. I threw it away a long time ago. I dropped my chopsticks and stood up. I threw it away. Then what is in it? Mrs. Lee actually wanted me to eat her own meat. When I thought of the way my husband was eating the meatballs with great relish, my stomach turned. Isn't this the equivalent of eating human flesh in disguise? I didn't drink. And Mrs. Lee got upset all of a sudden. A dog bites Lu Dongbin and doesn't know what's good for you. You don't even eat when I cook for you. This meat is your medical tissue. So what? It's also a medicinal herb in Chinese medicine. It's a great tonic. It won't go bad if you put it in the freezer. I'm sorry if you don't feel bad about throwing it away. In the old days, we used to have a recipe for eating medical tissue in our hometown. But it has to be professionally processed before it can be eaten. Mrs. Lee froze my medical tissue in the freezer for almost a month and did nothing but wash it. I told Mrs. Lee not to bring it home when I was in the hospital. But she didn't listen to me. And when I got home, she lied to me and said that she had thrown it away long time ago. I didn't realize it had been frozen in the freezer. I got sick to my stomach and stood up. You guys go ahead and eat. I'm not eating. Mrs. Lee saw that I wasn't going to eat and took the bowl away from me, taking a bite of the soup. You don't know what you're talking about. I'll drink it if you don't. I have never seen such an ungrateful daughter-in-law. If you continue to act like this, I will have my son kick you out. Instead of leaving, I lifted the table. Then I sat down on the sofa and watched TV. I don't believe you. You can ask your son to blow me up and see if he dares. The soup spilled all over Mrs. Lee, and she dragged her husband over to hit me. Son, hit her. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'll hold her for you. Just hit her. She won't get away. You bought the house. This is your home. You're the head of the family. I'll back you up. What are you afraid of? I raised my eyebrows and looked at my husband. I felt a little funny when I saw him looking like a wimp. Your house. It seems you haven't told your mom the truth. My husband and I met at work. Although he is highly educated and good-looking, he has been delayed until his early 30s because of his family situation and has not yet gotten married. Hubby is 7 years older than me. At that time he pursued me. I was reluctant. But in the later get along with found that he is good and progressive. The most important thing is to me considerate. Will love people. Over time we fell in love. When I met the parents, my parents thought he was too old and had no car and no house. So they did not agree with us to be together. At that time, I was blinded by the heart is not married to him. My mom distressed me. Gave us a set of house. Of course. The house is written in my name. But for Mrs. Lee to have face outside. My husband discussed with me and lied to her that he bought the house himself. Before we got married, we signed an agreement that if he treated me badly, he would leave the house in the event of a divorce. Up to now, this stupid Mrs. Lee is still telling everyone how rich and powerful her son is, not realizing that not a single cent of this house belongs to him. You want her son to beat me? I'd like to see who blows who out first. My husband was afraid that I would misspeak, so he tried to fool Mrs. Lee. Before Mrs. Lee went into the house, she picked up the medical waste on the floor and washed it down with water and ate it. Mrs. Lee and her husband ate the medical tissue and went to the hospital the next day with vomiting and diarrhea. The doctor diagnosed them with food poisoning. I didn't feel any pain when I saw them in the hospital with 4 drip and couldn't get out of bed. I deserved it. Let's not talk about whether the untreated medical tissue can be eaten directly or not. But even something that has been frozen in the refrigerator for a month can be taken out and eaten. Not afraid of low-temperature bacteria. I couldn't cook for the baby. So I ordered takeout and rushed to the hospital after breastfeeding. Mrs. Lee was in the hospital bed, making uncomfortable noises. And when she saw me coming with takeout, she immediately sank her face. You're a loser. How expensive is takeout? My son didn't work hard to earn money for you to spend it like that. She does not care about whether I can be busy, even if it's not enough. And am still not out of postpartum recovery of the maternal. Blowing the wind to deliver the food and you complained about it. Fine. 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 I shouldn't care about your life. I brought up the takeout and asked, are you going to eat or not? Mrs. Lee turned her head. No. Then she looked at the meat inside the box and swallowed. You young people are just greedy. You can't eat as well as you cook. Let's forget about it this time. I'll eat it reluctantly. You've got a bargain and you're still a good boy. Obviously you want to eat it. But you have to find a way to talk about me. You're not looking for trouble. I blocked her words with a leathery smile. Well, you're frugal. Mrs. Lee shouldn't be reluctant. So that outsiders won't see it and say I'm bullying you. If you don't like the food I bring you, let your son bring you food. I moved a stool and sat in front of her hospital bed and opened the takeout box and ate it myself with relish. I'll eat if you don't. Mrs. Lee's stomach rumbled and she tried to speak several times but couldn't. If she doesn't say anything, I'll just ignore it. If you don't eat, you're not hungry. Not to mention takeout. But if you're hungry, you'll eat even the steamed buns in the garbage can. Looking at Mrs. Lee's eyes like she could eat me alive. I don't have to think about it to know what she's making up in her mind about me. Whatever. Your mammary glands are mammary glands. But not mine. I just didn't realize that Mrs. Lee had actually reversed the cause and effect of the incident. And once again, I was the target. When I got home, I saw 99 plus messages in my family group. When I clicked on them, they were all about me. Mrs. Lee. Egu. What kind of sin have I done? My daughter-in-law didn't even send me a meal in the hospital. She's trying to starve me to death. Auntie. Xiao Yuan. How can you do this to Mrs. Lee? Is there any law in your eyes? Second aunt. I've never seen such a daughter-in-law. My sister is suffering too much. Third aunt. How much time does it take to cook a meal? I don't think it's because she doesn't have time. She's just plain lazy. Below are dozens of other words that are accusing me. In the face of their accusations against me, my husband didn't even fart like a dead man in the group. It was only after I got married and had a child that I kind of saw through this big family of theirs. But I'm not a bully. What they say is what I am not a soft persimmon to be pinched. Then, I sent out screenshots of today's takeout order and the image of going to the hospital to see Mrs. Lee in the group, condescendingly sending out the message. I'm going to break my heart when you guys say that. I was afraid that my cooking would not be good. So I ordered an expensive takeout and braved the cold wind to send it to Mrs. Lee. But when I got to the hospital, Mrs. Lee was so picky that she even scolded me for not eating the takeout. As you know, I'm at home alone with a baby. So I don't have time to cook. I felt sorry for Mrs. Lee at noon hungry. Even the child did not care directly to the hospital. I did not expect her to say this to me. I sympathize with her. But who is she to sympathize with me who just gave birth to a baby? Mrs. Lee is also too hurtful to my heart. I rolled my eyes after sending the message. Who wouldn't know how to play aggrieved? Sure enough. The group stopped talking. Mrs. Lee. You're being unreasonable. In the end, you're the one who ate the takeout. Me. You said you wouldn't eat it yourself. So you can't throw it away and waste it. You don't care about your son. I care about my husband's hard-earned money. Mrs. Lee. You're turning black and white upside down. It's clearly you. Little whore. I'll show you when I'm discharged from the hospital. Hubby then posted in the group. Xiao Yuan. Mom. You both take a step back. Mrs. Lee. Why? Son. I brought you up. You can't have a daughter-in-law and forget your mother. You can't have a daughter-in-law who forgets her mother. You all come to judge me. I can't control my daughter-in-law. She's riding on my head and bullying me. The group saw the wind direction is not right, also no one to answer. Let Mrs. Lee in the group crazy. I turned off my cell phone and stopped looking at the group. And lay down under the covers to sleep. If I don't do anything, I won't die. I wasn't the one who broke the defense anyway. When Mrs. Lee came back from the hospital, I was just finishing postpartum recovery. After a few days, She's been acting up again. It was only 5 in the morning and she was in the bedroom, clapping and banging so loudly that people couldn't sleep. Mrs. Lee, if you want to exercise, can you go downstairs? If you don't go to bed, someone else will. Who knew that Mrs. Lee's body slapping was even louder? What time is it? Even a pig can't sleep as well as you. Soon the baby woke up and cried. And Mrs. Lee began her speech again. If the baby cries, it's hungry. Why don't you hurry up and feed my grandson? Sometimes I was really helpless in the face of Mrs. Lee's ignorance and stupidity. I spoke with some anger. It was you who woke up the baby. Every time the baby sleeps, you have to wake him up. It's really bad luck to have a grandmother like you. Stop filming. If you keep filming, the child will have a nervous breakdown. Mrs. Lee stopped her hand resentfully. Sure enough, the child fell asleep again in no time. Mrs. Lee knew that she was not interested and went downstairs. And when she came back from her workout, she didn't know what kind of nerves she was having. But she had to urge me to hurry up and go to work. You know, I just came out of postpartum recovery yesterday. My body is still weak. The food I ate in my postpartum recovery was all plain soup and water. And I have not been angry this month. Plus I had a difficult labor and almost had a hemorrhage when I had my cesarean section. So my body has not been able to recover at all. Mrs. Lee even said that I should go back to work now. And she even made arrangements for the baby's milk supply in the future. You have been eating and using my son's food since you were pregnant. Now that you have unloaded, it's time for you to contribute to the family, said Mrs. Lee. You don't have to worry about your son even if you go out to work. I am the child's own grandmother. So I won't starve my own grandson. I've discussed with Sister Wang that her daughter-in-law has a lot of milk. So I'll take the child to her house to feed him. No. How can she say that? It's not like I don't have my own milk. Besides, if the baby has problems with other people's milk, what's the point? I said no without saying a word. No. I said, I'll feed the baby. I'll feed the baby. I won't go out to work until my maternity leave is over and my body recovers. I said. And I've spent my own money since I got pregnant. Not a penny of your son's. So don't put all the blame on me. Because I had a bad pregnancy and a round belly. Mrs. Lee told me that I was pregnant with a daughter according to an unsupported folk saying. She even wanted me to abort the baby to have a son. Of course I didn't agree. Because of this, Mrs. Lee didn't come to take care of me during the whole pregnancy. Not only that, she also hijacked my husband's salary card. I'm sure your daughter-in-law isn't a baby. So why don't you give me the money for my old age? She said. When I gave birth to my baby. Mrs. Lee had another look on her face when she found out I had a boy. She held the baby in her arms and said he looked like my husband here and there. And called him a good grandson. I have never seen such double standards. Mrs. Lee was furious when she saw my firm attitude. How lazy you were in the postpartum recovery. I turned a blind eye and kept quiet. But now that you're out of the postpartum recovery, it's a bit unreasonable for you not to work. Isn't it? I was able to work on the ground in postpartum recovery. How can I be so delicate like you? I'm not like you. You're so delicate. You're too small. And you're so pretentious. I'd say my son shouldn't have married you in the first place. I listened to the cold snort a smile. You are you. I am me. You don't take your own body seriously. I still feel sorry for myself. You don't take your body seriously and I still care about myself. I said. And you still won't let your son marry me. If I knew my future Mrs. Lee was like you, I wouldn't have married her. Mrs. Lee stared at me. Her eyes wide open. You think you're so proud of having a son that you're just like anyone who hasn't had a son? She even glanced at her husband, as if she was showing off that she had a son. Her brain is a bit strange. I don't understand, but I was shocked. What I didn't understand even more was yet to come. In the middle of the night when I was asleep, Mrs. Lee sneaked out and took the baby away. When I realized that the baby was missing and went to look for it, I found Mrs. Lee carrying the baby to eat her milk. What are you doing? Mrs. Lee was startled. Why are you talking so loud? Can't you see I am breastfeeding? You're too young to know. We have this tradition in our hometown. The child who eats the milk of his grandmother grows up smart. Your husband has studied for so many years and gotten a master's degree. All because he ate his grandmother's milk. After she finished this bunch of messy and crooked reasoning, my fire surged up in a flash. I'll raise my son on my own. Don't use any nonsense on my son. Mrs. Lee was unwilling to give me the child and pinched my hand. Thinking about the whole postpartum recovery period, I could not bear it any longer. I dragged Mrs. Lee from the bed and took out all her clothes. I didn't want to see her again for a second. And it would be better if she disappeared from my face immediately. Mrs. Lee came over to grab it. What are you doing? What are you doing with my clothes? I yanked them away and shoved them into my suitcase. Go home at dawn. You're not welcome here. Mrs. Lee sat on the floor like a troublemaker. I'm not leaving. This is my son's house. If you want to leave, it's you who should go. You can't bully my old lady. She can sit wherever she likes. I've packed out all the clothes anyway. If she doesn't leave, I'll drag her to the car. Mrs. Lee began to make a fuss. And the baby cried out. The child cried. Ouch. You're a bully. Your daughter-in-law is forcing me to die as an old woman. Is there any law left? Judge me. My husband finally came out. It's not that he can't hear what's going on here. He's just selectively deaf. But whenever his mom cries or plays tricks on him, he comes over and acts as a mediator. Xiao Yuan. Our mom means well. You can't kick her out no matter how angry you are. She's our mom. I pushed my husband away and didn't give him a good look. I only have one mom. What kind of mom is she? Even if I thought she was my mom, does what she did to me this month look like something an elder could do? Don't stop me, or I'll throw you out too. Mrs. Lee saw her husband coming out, and she felt more confident. Son, hit her. Blow her out. I told you that you shouldn't have married her. It would have been better if you had married your Daisa's sister. I really regret agreeing to this marriage. I disliked back. Don't you have any idea why your son is still unmarried at the age of 31? It's bad luck to have a Mrs. Lee like you. Hearing me say Mrs. Lee, my husband tugged on my shirt and frowned with impatience. Yuan, how can you talk to mom? Yuan, you've gone too far this time. Why are you kicking mom out when she's living at home? If people saw her, they'd be talking about her. Even if she did something wrong. Mom is old. So why are you bothering with her? My husband was always defending Mrs. Lee, implying that I was being unreasonable. Now I can really see through him. He is a complete and utter mama's boy. Mrs. Lee cursed me and encouraged my husband to kick me out. Never mind. It was time for this farce to come to an end. I settled my mind and made up my mind quietly. I looked at my husband calmly. You think it's my fault too, don't you? Hubby didn't say anything. It was a tacit acceptance. I smiled to myself in disappointment. Good. That's it then. After I finished speaking, I went back to the house with the child in my arms. And after taking the documents, real estate license and other valuables, I left the house with the child in my arms. Mrs. Lee saw me go out and thought that I was really intimidated. And was still flaunting her power. "I'll kick you out. If I don't make you suffer. You want know who is the head of this family. Is that so?" I clenched the real estate license in my hand. "You'll find out soon enough who's the head of the family." When I returned to my mother's home. As soon as my mom heard that I had suffered so much in my in-laws' home, she immediately wanted to settle the score with her. My brother also said he was going to go and beat my husband up. I stopped them. According to Mrs. Lee's unreasonable nature, if we really beat her up, even if it's white, she can make it black. And well have something in her hands. But fortunately before the wedding my mom had the foresight to leave a hand prenuptial agreement I also brought out. I looked at my brother and said solemnly, "Brother, do you have a friend in a law firm? I have something to ask for his help. Can you get in touch with him for me?" My brother agreed without saying a word. I stayed at my mom's place for almost half a month, during which I ate and drank well. Didn't have to do housework. And didn't have to be angry about anything. Not only me. Even the baby gained weight. My husband thought I was just angry and would go home in a couple of days. But I have no intention of going back. I feel sick just looking at that family. My husband called me almost every day. I did not answer. I'm not even answering them. I've also blacked him out when he sends me WeChat messages. Now you know to salvage it. It's too late. In the evening after dinner and after the children were put to bed, I was in bed catching up on dramas. Suddenly Mrs. Lee sent me several long voice messages. We hardly ever talked. So I felt a little strange and clicked on the voice. "Son. Hasn't Xiao Yuan returned your call? You persuade her again. It's okay for her to leave. But don't take my good grandson with you. That's our family's child. We can't let her take over. Say something nice. Don't women like nice things? I've asked around. Her family has several properties. If it wasn't for these properties I would have let you marry her. If it wasn't for these houses, would I let you marry her? You can pretend to be in love with her now. And now that she has a child, she can only be with you for the rest of her life. If you give up on her someday, you can go out and find a few more if you want to after she surrenders the house. And mom won't stop you. Right? Xiao Yuan is pregnant. I'm sure mom won't stop you. By the way, when Xiao Yuan was pregnant, didn't you and your sister Daisy get along well? Daisy is also willing to be a child. So please be more patient and coax Xiao Yuan to live with you first." After listening to this large series of voice, I was so angry that my blood poured out. I trembled with my fingers and belly to record the screen collection of this one voice to save the evidence. Good. So it's a marriage scam. What's the oath? What a lifetime are all fake. Hubby and his mom are the same since the beginning. He treats me as an ATM. His mom treats me as a reproductive tool. Since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unrighteous. Originally, I just thought that my husband was just soft-hearted. But I didn't realize that he was just a confused person. Every time there is a conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, he puts the fault on me and makes me give in. But the result of my concessions is that Mrs. Lee has intensified his efforts to refresh my bottom line again and again. Not only did he cheat on me, but now he's going out and screwing around while I'm pregnant. I've saved up enough disappointment. And my friendship has been worn out. I'm divorced for sure. I put the child in my mother's house. And I have been raising red and energized in my mother's house for the past 2 days. After a few trips to the lawyer's office, I had a plan in mind. And immediately returned home with the movers. When I got home, Mrs. Lee was wiping her face with my makeup and my husband was lying on the couch swiping short videos. I wasn't home. The trash hadn't been taken out for days. And the whole house was a mess from them. I opened the door and instantly let the movers into the house. The movers were moving things out in front of them. And Mrs. Lee immediately ran over and hugged the TV. "What are you doing? This is my son's home. Why are you trespassing? If you don't leave, I'm going to call the police." My husband turned off his cell phone and watched all the things being moved away and panicked. When I saw me standing at the door, my husband understood a few points. He came over to pull me. "Wife, you're back? What are you doing?" I shook off his hand and said coldly, "It looks like you and your son are having a good time while I'm not at home." My husband mumbled resentfully. I entered with my head held high and directed the movers. "This one. That one. Move them out. And dismantle all the electrical appliances in the house for me." The movers were quick with their screwdrivers and dismantled the appliances in a matter of seconds. Mrs. Lee saw that the momentum was not right and ran over to me and pushed me. "Troublemaker. What are you doing? This is my son's house. I'll have my son throw you out." This time I no longer cared about my husband's face. And I immediately showed my real estate license. "Mrs. Lee, I'm not going to cover up for your son now. This house is in my name and is my premarital property," she said. "Your son doesn't want to tell you for the sake of face. But I won't care anymore. By the way, I sold the house and you are the ones who should move out." Mrs. Lee wanted to retort. But after seeing her husband's heartfelt expression, what else didn't she understand? Covering her chest, she took a few steps back as if she was about to take a breath. It was as if she had a million vicious words in her mouth waiting to scold me. Mrs. Lee pointed at me to come and hit me. You're shameless. You've been planning this for a long time. You poisonous woman. My son should never have married you. You've joined our family. You've renewed the family name. So you must obey my son. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because your mother's family is rich. Even if the King of Heaven came to my house, he'd have to listen to my son. Who do you think you are?" Then she stopped the movers. "Don't move it. This is all my son's. It's all my son's." The master took my money and didn't even look at her. Mrs. Lee was mad. I was madder than she was. They cheated me out of my money, my marriage and my child. I won't let them go. I've consulted a lawyer about everything. And they won't get a drop of money out of me. Mrs. Lee was furious and was about to come over and hit me when I backhanded her and pushed her to the ground. I pushed her to the ground and said, "Instead of making a fuss here, you should have advised your son to divorce me earlier. But the children will be mine. And all the property will be mine. Everything you eat and use is mine. I've done my best not to settle the score with you." With every word I said, Mrs. Lee's flesh ached a little. And after hearing me say divorce, a shrewd look flashed in Mrs. Lee's eyes. She spat at me. "Good. Divorce as soon as possible. My son is a talented man and there are many girls who like him. After you get divorced, I will let my son marry my niece Daisy." I sneered. "They'll regret it. I'd like to make a big deal out of letting everyone know I'm out of my misery." Mrs. Lee reacted quickly. "No. You can go. But my grandson must stay. He is our family's seed. You don't deserve to raise him. You don't deserve to raise him. No. Don't bully me. I'm an old woman who doesn't know anything. Even if you get a divorce, you'll have to share the property equally. And if you want my son to leave the family, there's no way." I had anticipated that they would say this, and took out the prenuptial agreement that my husband had promised to get out of the house if our relationship broke up before we got married. My husband, who had been silent all along, became furious in a rare moment. "Xiao Yuan, are you finished? You want to break up this family so that you can feel at ease, don't you? Can't we just get on with our lives?" Can't you stop selling the house and getting divorced? Besides, my mom's so old. Why are you so angry with her? Do you have any respect for your elders? He snatched the agreement out of my hand and tore the paper to shreds. I'll pretend this never happened. Get rid of the movers and let's live happily ever after. Even if you divorce me, what good will it do you? You won't even be able to find a second marriage with a child. Me. Does he want to see what kind of shit he's talking about? Divorce can only do me good and no harm. I can get out of my misery sooner by staying away from this family. But it is their mother and son. I would like to see how he has no house, no car and married. And such an unreasonable mom's people will live in the future. I didn't panic when my husband tore the agreement to shreds and turned my hand and took out another pile from my bag. Feel free to tear it up. Anyway, they are all photocopies of the backup. I have a lot more here. Anyway, the original is in my hand. Even if he tore up the whole pile of paper, I would not feel any pain. I've consulted with him. This agreement is legally binding. If you want to deny it, there is no way. Mrs. Lee and her husband knew they were at a disadvantage. So they could only watch the house being moved away little by little. They wanted to stay, but the new head of the family could not let them go, and immediately got someone to beat them out of the house. I heard that their faces and noses were swollen when they were kicked out. But what does that have to do with me? At this moment, I am enjoying my spa treatment with my face mask on. When I got home from the spa, I saw a large crowd of people around my house. Mrs. Lee and her husband had called all their relatives over. And there were also a bunch of neighbors watching. As soon as Mrs. Lee saw me, she sat down on the floor and wailed with her head in her hands. Daughter-in-law. Mom was wrong. I shouldn't have talked back to you. You should have said whatever you wanted to say. And whatever I said was wrong. I don't want you to be so mean to my wife. I'll admit it if my son doesn't listen to me. But if you and your wife live a good life, it's worth it to me to suffer. Xiao Yuan. Stop it. Come home with us. Okay? It doesn't matter if you get divorced yourself. The child is innocent. You can't let the child grow up without a father because of your own selfishness. Second aunt pulled Mrs. Lee. How can you say that about yourself? You can't say a word about your daughter-in-law's mistake. You're the eldest. And I'd say it's because Xiao Yuan's mom didn't teach her well at home. And she's made you suffer. Auntie San came over and accused me. Mrs. Lee has begged you. So what can you do if you give in? What's the point of giving in? Will giving in make you lose a piece of flesh? Don't be so ungrateful. Auntie chimed in. That's right. Look how nice Mrs. Lee is. She even came to apologize to you in person when you two were angry. Mrs. Lee is kind-hearted. But don't keep on bullying her just because you see that she is easy to bully. It's only right for the family to live in harmony. After the relatives had finished talking, and with Mrs. Lee's snotty face, the neighbors thought it was all my fault. Well, 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 well. They've done a good job of moral abduction. They were sure that I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. That I didn't want to be a joke to anyone, including my husband. Oh no. Now I should call my ex-husband. My ex-husband still didn't give a shit and acquiesced to all this. They want to turn me into a target. Want me to compromise. But I'm not a soft persimmon to be pinched. Their plan can be wrong. Shame. I don't mind being humiliated. Just now so many people present. I would like to let the 3 neighbors and 4 houses to see who is right and who is wrong. I looked coldly at the group of evil relatives around me. This is what you are asking for. I rolled up my sleeves and officially took it. I walked over to Auntie Tu and flipped through Mrs. Lee's previous chats with me. Auntie Lee. Think of your good sister. She never thought of you. If you think about why I gave you the only bracelet Mrs. Lee gave you when she died, it was because Mrs. Lee took the other one, she said. Not only that, Mrs. Lee also gave you a large sum of money before she left. But Mrs. Lee squandered it all. Don't you know that? Auntie too was wide-eyed when she heard this, and ran up to Mrs. Lee and questioned her loudly. Is she telling the truth? I know why Mom didn't give me as much as you guys. So you took it secretly. I was so angry for you. But you take me for a fool. I don't care about your family affairs. But you should return my things to me. Second aunt was the first to fall back. If you don't want people to know, you have to do it yourself. Now Mrs. Lee should think of how to pay back this money. Then I met Aunt Sam's eyes. Aunt Sam, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. Why do you suppose Mrs. Lee was so kind as to introduce my husband's half-finished cousin to your daughter? You think you've got a golden son-in-law. But he has a hidden disease and can't bear children. Mrs. Lee, don't really want you to get along. Auntie Sen felt that her outlook on the world was about to be shattered. She pounded Mrs. Lee's chest so hard that she was about to vomit blood. I told you how my daughter could have contracted that filthy disease. And your family is still hitting me with the same accusation that it was my daughter's misbehavior. Aren't you pushing my daughter into the fire pit? I treat you as a relative. But you're playing games with me. I'm not done with you. Good. Another one has turned against me. Finally. Without waiting for me to speak, my sister-in-law took the initiative to ask. Trembling. Did you, Mrs. Lee, do something wrong to me too? I nodded. She said you were ugly and poor. And that she couldn't afford the bride price or cash gifts. She also said that you are a poor relative. And that you deserve to be poor for the rest of your life. I'm too embarrassed to say anything worse. Auntie, you're being taken advantage of. My great-aunt has worked hard to bring up her sisters. And for them she has worked hard and done a lot of hard work. She worked hard for her sisters and turned herself into an old girl. Because of the family's financial constraints, she gave Mrs. Lee the opportunity to go to school, not realizing that in the end she would be disliked by her own sister. Auntie, who was usually a gentle person and did not get angry, could not bear to be stabbed in the back by her own sister, and immediately broke off the sisterly bond with Mrs. Lee. Well, now everyone had seen Mrs. Lee's true colors. And this time they would not help her any more than they had helped their own. Then, I began to judge them. You and your son. You cheated on me for my family's money. You thought I was pregnant with a girl. And yelled for me to get rid of the baby. But as soon as you saw that it was a son, you changed your faces. So don't be so obvious about your preference for sons. When I was pregnant, you did not visit me once. And during the postpartum recovery, you gave me a hard time every day. And made me go out to work without finishing the postpartum recovery. So I've seen the worst. But I've never seen you so shameless. And you. Every time there is a conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, you are a turtle. Most of the quarrels are originated from your inaction. And you cheated on me while I was pregnant. You want me to forgive you? No way. Now the truth comes out. They wanted to humiliate me in front of so many people. And now they were the ones who were humiliated in front of everyone. Everyone started yelling at them. Even some people who had just bought vegetables were hitting them with their leaves. They ran away in disgrace. Someone uploaded a video of me fighting with Mrs. Lee. And the netizens were so happy that they supported my divorce and chased after them to condemn them. They have been completely discredited. In response to public opinion, my husband had to divorce me even though he still wanted to do it. On the day of my divorce, My brother celebrated by setting off firecrackers in front of my ex-husband's brother in order to deliberately upset them. After the divorce, the children belonged to me. The money and the house were also mine. And my ex-husband's brother was out of the house. I quit my job after maternity leave and opened a small studio with the money from the sale of the house. Later, the studio got bigger and bigger. We moved to a bigger office building and registered the company's trademark. And my career was booming. My business is booming. My children have professional aunts to bring them up and they are growing up happily and healthily. My ex-husband's family's life is not so favorable. My ex-husband's brother was dismissed immediately by his boss because of the negative impact on the company due to the bad public opinion on the internet. When he went to look for a job again, no company would take him. He was unemployed and had no financial resources. After we divorced, my ex-husband married Daisy, the woman he was cheating on. Daisy was not what she appeared to be but what she was behind the scenes. And when we got married, we realized that she was even more shrewd and treated Mrs. Lee like a cow. Not only that, she also beat and scolded Mrs. Lee. And soon Mrs. Lee suffered a cerebral infarction and went into the hospital as a paraplegic. When she found out that her ex-husband had lost his job, Daisy's dislike of the family was so great that she married him for the house we lived in before. Daisy was furious when she realized that the house was not his. And she ran away with Mrs. Lee's medical money. Her ex-husband's love and career suffered setbacks. And the family had a lot of trivial matters. And owed Mrs. Lee a huge debt. So she had a nervous breakdown and jumped off a building. Mrs. Lee also died of cerebral hemorrhage in the hospital. And none of their relatives went to collect their bodies or visit them. They should have thought of the present result when they did the backstabbing before. I can only say that they had it coming. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me now. I'm sitting in a Ferrari right now, looking at beautiful men driving around. In front of them is the darkness and the abyss. And what greets me after getting out of the sea of suffering can only be light and a straight path avenue. End of full text.